Hi, I'm Nate the Maker, and I want to show you how to turn 3D print into a finished product. The four things that I use to finish a 3D product is a lot of sanding, Bondo, filler primer, and just normal paint. Now if you don't have a belt sander, and I'm sure most people don't, you can just use normal sandpaper and it just might take a little bit longer, but you'll get the same results. Now Bondo is a quick drying putty which when combined with the drying agent can go over the plastic and provide a sandable smooth surface. The filler primer will go into any of the small cracks that weren't filled by the Bondo or anything that you missed, and will just provide another layer of sandable material. And of course the paint is up to you. Today I'll be going with white to match BB-8. So BB-8 actually has 8 of these panels, but I'm just going to show you how to make one of these today, and it's the same process for the other 7, or any prints that you may make at home. So like some of your prints may have at home, BB-8 does have a few different details that I want to be able to keep and not just cover up with Bondo. So I'm going to use a combination of a pick as well as a Dremel to make sure I don't cover these parts in. Before we get started with any priming or Bondo, I'm going to go over this with a light sanding first just to get it a little bit smoother before we get started. Before I do that, I need to take this 80 grit off. I'm going to put on 240 grit instead. And if you don't know what grit is, the lower the number, the more coarse it is. So right now this 80 will just chew through this plastic. It's made more for wood. Now if I put on 240 or 400, it'll be a little bit easier on the plastic and won't take off as much material. The first thing you want to check when replacing a sanding belt is to make sure you're putting it in the correct direction. So each sanding belt will come with arrows to show you which way to install it. So the main tool here is a Dremel. It is removable, but right now it's in this workspace setup. It provides a spinning tip for countless different applications. The Dremel tool itself is super versatile, and if you have a home shop, it's a great addition. I didn't like how that particular tip was cutting into the plastic. I think it was just the wrong tip. I'm going to try to use this little sanding tip and cut a little circles instead of manually trying to do that myself. So this already seemed to work a lot better. It kicked up a lot of plastic, but once I sand that down, this will be a perfect little circle around that hole. So when I'm cutting with the jigsaw, I want to cut a little bit proud so that when I take it to the sander, I can cut down all of this and it'll line up perfectly. So now that I have this piece, I'm going to spread Bondo on BB-8's surface and then use this to scrape it across and get that curved shape. So we're going to let this dry for a little bit, then we'll bring it back over to the sander, and when that's done, we'll come back with the filler primer and fill in any of the gaps, and then we'll keep doing that over and over again with the sanding and priming until we get a surface that we like. When painting, make sure you use proper ventilation, and if you're indoors, use a face mask. Every time you wear a face mask, you have to make Darth Vader noises, or else what are you doing? So I've primed and I've sanded this about 3 or 4 times now. I've gotten this paint job as close as I need to perfect. Luckily, the satin from this paint will hide most of the imperfections of this paint job, and it'll look really good when we're finished. So I've let this dry for a few hours. It's safe to touch. I went over it with a 1200 sandpaper, just very lightly to finish it. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I hope this helps you with your 3D prints at home. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.